Good morning, everybody. It is a Monday morning. It is a gorgeous Monday morning. It's 72 degrees. It's nice to wake up to 72 degrees as opposed to warm up to 72 degrees in the course of the day. I don't know what it's supposed to be later, but who knows? Who cares? It's beautiful out. Good morning, Dustin. Actually, I think we're supposed to get like a severe thunderstorm later. That should be fun. I like those. Eric, how you doing? Oh, trivia was fun. Thanks for asking. Now, yeah, trivia was fun. The Walk Tallers, the Addressing Gettysburg team, came in second place, and which is better than last year. They lost it all, I think, last year. They were vying for first last year, but then they blew it with their wager in the final round. But yeah, so they came in second, and the second place prize was a free month on Patreon, and everybody at the table is already a patron, which kind of defeated the purpose of doing it. I was hoping that non-patrons, a table full of non-patrons, would win, so that we could, so that they could hear it for free and go, oh, this is actually worth joining. And but instead, it's going to cost me because, well, they already pay, so I'm just going to refund them a month. Should have thought that through. So now there's no new ears hearing the show. But whatever, that's how it goes. How you doing, Barbara? Did you cheat them again this year? No. All the answers were double checked, and we sourced them in case anybody wanted to refute them. And yeah, no, everything went well. It was fun. It was a good crowd. I think last year we had 70. This year we had 45, if I'm not mistaken, which is still pretty decent. But I had fun doing it. And well, that's about it. So you guys have a good week, and I don't know, I can't think of anything else to talk about. See, it's Monday. Going into the studio to edit some stuff. I finally have a week with no recordings, except for Thursday's show. So I should be less tired and less apt to throw a tantrum when the equipment fails. Yeah, so we are going to start going to once a month for AG Today, starting in May, because we have a lot of video work to do, and I need to free up more time. Also, again, I still believe it hurts more than it helps to do AG Today, and also I'm just, it's got more moving pieces, and I carry all the I'm sick of all the work. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. So ask a guide out, and it gets, what did it get? 3,500 views in the first day, and then an ask a guide gets 1,000 by the end of the week. Better to put my time elsewhere. We'll come back to weekly once the video shooting season dies down. Maybe we'll do that to get us through the winter. I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? Or maybe we'll just keep it at once a month and move it over to Patreon. But anyway, so we'll continue doing it weekly through April, and then move to once a month. Yeah, so Eric, you were down at Harper's Ferry, staying at the Stonehouse Inn, which Cindy and I stayed at last year. We're staying at it again this year in May. And I'll tell you, it is a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place. Morning, Peter. Good morning, Paul. And good morning, Mary. For those of you who want to know where we are, we're on the Fairfield Road, which there's construction going on. I don't know what they're doing. I think it's something with bridges. Either way, it adds like 20 minutes to your commute into town, which is a real biatch. But you get to explore the surrounding areas, so I'm more familiar with the roads now, which I guess is good. You know, it's good to know the area that you live in. Good morning, Gail. Temperature down here, Peter, is 70 degrees. Looks like winter, but it feels like spring. There are some trees that are starting to bud. The daffodils are sprouting up. The forsythias are in bloom. And all indications are that we are going to have spring this year. It is going to get warm. Winter is over. Sure, we may get the occasional cold day, the rain, maybe even snow. It's not unheard of. But for the most part, the cobwebs of winter, the winter doldrums are gone. Don says, good morning. It was a beautiful day in Gettysburg Saturday. I missed your drive live, but did watch it to see if you passed us. Where were you? But it was a great day. Don, are you a guide? I forget what, but something made me think that you were a guide. You might have said it in a comment or something, or I don't recall exactly. Good morning, Michael. How are you? Construction is for the bridge replacement scheduled to be completed June 24th. Yeah. June 24th. I wonder what kind of bridge replacement they're doing. I mean, I've never replaced a bridge before, so I dare not speak out of school on why it's taken. When did they start that? I feel like it was in the late fall. Like it was soon after we moved out there. So I think they did more than one too. I don't think it was just one replacement, if I'm not mistaken. Jeffrey says, good morning, beautiful day. How was it being a passenger princess on the last live video? Oh, gotcha. Well, what the hell are you talking about? I actually prefer that. I can just focus on what's going on around me and talking to you guys. I remember Eric, the producer, when he was here, he and I did that a couple times. We went on some drives. One day it was a snowstorm. So We got in his Jeep, drove around the battlefield. It was a classic moment because he fell getting out of the Jeep, and I caught it just in the nick of time on camera. But I don't believe that was done on Facebook. I think that was on YouTube. I think that was on Instagram. And I'm not sure, I don't remember if those were the days when the reels disappeared after a while. Like, they didn't stay up there permanently like they do now, which sucked, because when you have a classic moment like Eric falling, which I think it's still up there, so I think it was after those days, but it's way back. I mean, it's 2021 at the earliest. Could have been 2. I don't know. Don says, hold on, I gotta adjust this here. I can't see. Don says, no, I was planning and studying for the exam. Missed the sign update. Okay. Because it closed so quickly. That's why I asked 6Q a lot of questions as he goes through the process. Gotcha. I just got a phone call. Did I lose audio? Michael, it might have been 2020 or early 21. Eric came on in early 2020. All the lockdown nonsense. So it could have been like that December, or like the following December, or I'm thinking it was probably early 21. Because when we have the normal winters around here, or at least the new normal winters around here have been, you get, your winter weather, January, maybe a little into February, but for the most part, most of the winter is in the 50s, which I think is why everybody was saying this winter was really tough, is because we've been pretty spoiled that produce CFCs to spray into the air so that we have a 50-degree winter next year. That's the hope, at least. I don't know if it works that way. I highly doubt it does, but we'll try, right? You can't blame a guy for trying. But anyway, yeah, so that's usually the way it is. So I'm going to guess it was probably January or February of 21, but don't quote me on that. We're going to do a very truncated drive through the battlefield today because I need to get into work. I have a thing this afternoon, and I have to edit stuff, and I got to post. I'm late on getting shows up because I just had a jam-packed week last week, and I didn't have time to edit anything, which was a real pain in the ass. So I'm hoping that with my not only this week, but I have most of April without scheduled recordings, which means doesn't mean I have April off, although I say it that way. It just means I have time to work on all the other things that don't get to be done because of recordings, like editing, finalizing the Get Out of the Car schedule. By the way, September, our Antietam tour is changing. Thank you, Phil, for the super. Thank you, sir. September is changing. It's still Antietam, but Brad Gottfried accidentally double booked himself, and he didn't catch it until a couple weeks after he said he would do it. I just got off the phone. Well, I didn't just get off the phone, but I spoke on Friday to Scott Hartwig. Scott will be giving the tour. The Antietam tour is going to be a fundraiser for the George Tyler Moore Center and Digital History Pioneers. So once the cost, so what we're doing is the tour, and then afterwards, Scott agreed to do a book signing. Them if you don't have one, and he will sign them. When you when you sign up, you will get a copy of the book if you don't already have one. Um, well, I guess if you already, it doesn't matter. If you sign up, you get a copy of the book. Do with the extra copy what you will. But you know, sometimes when I'm kind of lucky because when I have authors on, I get the books for free. But sometimes I have an author on and I've already bought their book, so they give me a copy of the book, which they sign, and that goes on a different bookshelf. That's on a bookshelf in the studio. Most of them are on the bookshelf in the studio. When I have a guest on and they sign it. So I have all my signed copies in one area in the high security studio. Yeah, so maybe that's what you do. You keep one as a signed copy, the other one's the one you read and spill coffee on and go, oops, who knows? But whatever. That's what we're going to do. So I have to set that up. I'm actually going to go down to Antietam tomorrow and um, talk to Park Service people there and see what I need to do as far as permits or anything like that goes. And so that's good. Jen Murray is, I don't know if you guys know this, but she's taking Jim Brumel's old job down at the George Tyler Moore Center. Jim has gone down to Richmond, and Jen is taking his job up there, and I think she'll do a great job. And she said, she's like, we need to think of things that we can do together to help out both of our interests. And I said, well, let's start doing that, Jenny. Let's start doing that. So we're doing this is probably, well, it's the first thing we have planned. I don't know if it's the first thing that'll occur chronologically, but we might come up with an idea between now and then. But anyway, September, that's going to be a fundraiser. Yeah. So also, parking is a real pain down there in that there's not a lot of it. They do. Scott said they have overflow lots, so that's one of the things I'm going to talk to them about is, will you be able to do overflow lots? But I think because this will be a fundraising event, it's going to drastically reduce the number of people who show up, which is fine. But yeah, so it's going to be a little different. It's not going to be like just walk up and whatever, because you're going to have people who have paid to be there, and I can't have people coming up for free, because the people who paid to be there will not take too kindly to that. I'm assuming. I wouldn't. So that will be a ticketed event only, and I think it's like about a 10-minute drive or so down the road to Shepherdstown. I've never gone there from Harper's Ferry or from Antietam, so I don't know from experience, but Jen said it's about like 10 minutes down the road. So not bad. And if you've never been to Shepherdstown, this is a great opportunity for you to do that, because it is a really cool little town. Really cool little town. Right there on the river. Tons of history. For those of you who have read Tom McMillan's book about Gettysburg rebels, they moved down there, and you can go and see the building that the carriage making factory was that it. What am I trying to say? You could see where they worked. I think somebody told me it's a Mexican restaurant now, although I'm not sure about that. But it's a cool town. And if George Tyler Moore sounds familiar to you, it's Mary Tyler Moore's dad. So, all that jazz. All right, let's see. Dates for the September tour. It is September 27th, Paul. Andy, good morning to you. Peter says, "Who's pulling security?" Oh, there's cameras and alarms and magnetic doors all over that place. It is locked down. There, besides my equipment, there's far more valuable items in there. So, um, yeah, no, it is. There's like a redundancy of cameras and uh, shotguns built into walls that, if you're somehow able to get in without, entering the alarm code, there's strategic places in the place where shotguns are in the wall. They will come out and blast you in the face. So it is a very tight, very tight. Look, when we say at the beginning of AG Today, from a maximum security facility high atop Baltimore Street, um, that's that's not a joke. That's not a joke. September 27th, 10 a.m. Thank you, Matt C. Yeah, so keep an eye on the website and also listen to AG Today, because the location might not be the cornfield. That was what Brad was going to do. I told Scott the reason why we chose it is because it's near the main parking lot. It would be easier for people to park and all that jazz, and then just, walk over to it. So we're thinking somewhere in that area. He's also doing a tour with Jen the week before, and we don't want to repeat that either, in case there's some overlap. As far as visitors go, so we want to keep it fresh and different. So he's going to take a few days to think about it, and then get back to me. So that is the story there. All right, let me just make sure here. Oh, for the September tour. Oh, well, we'll have. You mean, how are we going to know who's free and who's not? Who's a freeloader, let's say, and who is someone who is kind and generous and has donated their hard-earned money to two great causes? We'll have tickets. We'll have a roster of people who are, you know, who are part of the game. Mike Lawson, I remember several years ago seeing the Meade statue and saying to myself, who is this Meade fellow? Yeah, a lot of people, when they're new to the battle, they think Grant is here, and they're surprised to find out he's not even near here. And uh, that was the first time I heard of George Meade's name, was when I got into Gettysburg. George Meade, Pennsylvania man. Yeah, Eric. No, that was a concern that Jen and I both had when we were talking about it, and having especially the same guy. But Scott literally wrote the book on the battle, so we can go anywhere. We're just trying to keep it into that area, which is also the area where Jen's tour is going to be. And we just want to keep it there because we don't want. We don't want. I've just found when you have a large group of people that are not traveling in a bus and they're all on their own, it leads to confusion and a giant fustercluck. So to have people try to find, well, first of all, we're very spoiled here in Gettysburg because our avenues are bigger, they're wider, so there's room to park just about anywhere you go. There's a few places where there isn't, but there's often pull-offs. Antietam is different. Like, the roads in Antietam are about the same length or same width as the roads on East Cavalry Field. And there's really those, you could barely pass another car without somebody going off into the grass on those roads. So to get, a couple of dozen cars parked, there's very few places where we could go where it's not going to cause a problem for somebody. So that's why we chose a location near the visitor center. If this season of Get Out of the Park tours goes well and people like it again, I to be honest with you, I've been thinking of canceling the whole thing because it is such a pain in the ass to go. Every place has a different set of rules. Every place has a different parking situation. I'm not working with one guide. I'm working with a handful of guides, every one of them has their own, ways of doing things, and I got to get them to come into the fold of how we do things, and it's just a lot. And if we do it another year, I'm going to probably organize it as a bus trip, and I will charge for them. I'll keep the Gettysburg tours free for the off years or the in-between years, but when we go out of Gettysburg, I'm just going to organize them as a bus trip leaving from Gettysburg, and you got to pay for it. So that's how that's going to go, because it's way too much work, and I don't, I pay to do these things for you guys. So the amount of work that it is to leave Gettysburg is not what I bargained for, and not particularly fun, and it kind of makes me lose interest in doing it. I am looking forward to the Antietam one because it's a fundraiser. So anyway, I got to get going. I got to get, yes, like herding cats on catnip. That's exactly what it is. People, it's very interesting to me. Like, I now understand why the military needs boot camp, because you have to beat the autonomy out of the person's brain. And I guess in a way, the ADD, when you can't just tell a group of people, meet us here, and then you go there, and then you go to the next place, and it's like, all right, we're going here next, and then in between, a million things can happen, and it's not that they happen to the people, it's that the people do it themselves. Like, oh, look, there's ice cream, and then they stop and get ice cream. It's just, yeah. So it's easier to just try to assume that, and this isn't necessarily fair to everybody, but this is what happens. One bad apple spoils a whole bunch. You got to treat everybody like they're stupid, and like they've got ADD, and that's what you got to do when you do these things. So you got to think of all the things that can lessen the chances of a fustercluck. Yeah. So anyway. Let's see, I'm trying to get down for September. It's like herding cats. Hello, somebody. Hello, I actually headed into Gettysburg in less than 2 weeks, staying for 4 nights. Very nice. I'm planning to tour the entire battlefield with my wife and son. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. And if you have a chance, stop by and say hi. All right, let's see. That's calm. Calm. COLM. That's interesting. What is that? Calm. Like Malcolm? I like that. That's a cool name. Because it sounds like calm, CALM, unless you say it Colm. I don't know. I've never heard that name before. Why veterans love other veterans. There you go. Don says, Matt, if you need help, I'm losing my job in May. Congratulations, and can volunteer. I need all the help I can get, Don. I need all the help I can get. Shoot me an email so I don't forget, please. It's matt@addressinggettysburg.com. All right, the engine has been shut off. That means I am going in to get a coffee and start my day. You guys have a great day. I will talk to you next time. I'll try to do another one of these tomorrow when I go to Antietam. Bye-bye.